Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog.stampwithelaine.com and welcome to extra Christmas material, as now Thanksgiving is over and I have this gorgeous fun fold card. It's a little bulkier than a normal card. You can hand deliver it for that someone special in your life. This card is from the Toile Tidings suite, which you can find on pages 6 through to 9. There are actually 2 bundles in this suite if you are feeling flush and you want to get the entire suite. But for today we're only going to be using the Toile bundle, which is the cardinal bird and the coordinating dies, the Christmas cardinal dies. Going to be using the banner one and the leaf ones. The papers I'm using are from the Toile Tidings Designer Series paper. These come in garden green and real red colours, and the front and back is the same design, except one side is garden green and the other side is real red. So there's a checkerboard one. All these are Toile scenes. My card base is in very vanilla thick cardstock, and this measures 5 7/8 by 8 1/4 inches and folded in half. In metric, that's 14.9 centimeters by 21 centimeters. For the card front, so you need a piece of cardstock that measures 4.5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. In metric, that's 11.4 centimeters by 9.5. With the long side at the top, you want to mark it at 1 1/4 inches. Rotate it 180 degrees and mark it at 1 1/4 inches as well. Then you need to cut from that 1 1/4 inch mark there down to the 1 1/4 inch mark here. Okay, so you line it up in the groove at the 1 1/4 inch mark and rotate it and cut it at the 1 1/4 inch mark on the bottom as well. Actually, I went back and I marked it with a pencil because you can see it better that way. So you want that right in the cutting groove, and then you cut from point to point like so. Set that aside. For the inside of the card, you need a piece that's cut at 8 inches by 5.5 inches. In metric, that's 20.3 centimeters, 14 centimeters. With the long side at the top, you score at 2, 4, 6 inches. In metric, that's 5 centimeters, 10.2 centimeters, and 15.2 centimeters. Now you rotate the cardstock so that the short side is on top, and you line it up at 1 3/4 inches and make a mark in that groove. And you want to cut from that mark up to the diagonal point here. Let me put it along this way so you can see. So I'm lining up that mark in the groove and the point on the opposite corner in the groove, and I'm going to cut diagonally to burnish your score lines. So it's basically a mountain valley mountain fold. Now we want to cut our designer series paper, and I've found through trial and error and a lot of wasted cardstock that the best way to do it is actually to cut it in strips and then butt it up to your diagonal cardstock to get the correct angle. You want the pattern going vertically up and down this way. You need to cut your DSP at 4 1/8 inches. And you also want the patterns to match up, so you want the vertical at the top to match up with the vertical at the bottom. Okay, so then you need to cut strips. That is 1 11/16 of an inch, so it's just shy of the 11 3/4 inch mark. So you want 2 strips. That's a 3/4, so just the one inside that. Okay, so that's for your front. So on your grid paper, you know that each of the square is 1/4 of an inch, so you mark that. So you can butt your paper up along that mark, okay? And then use your scissors to cut along that line. Rub that off, and we're going to be gluing and sticking as we go along. So that's your first one for the top. So you've glued that one down. I've glued it on crooked. Too late. It will tear if I try and reposition it. So I'm marking this at 1/4 of an inch as well. And the reason I'm doing that is because you're allowing for the 1/8 of an inch here as well as there, so that comes to 1/4 of an inch. So now make sure that's not crooked, and then I'll cut along that line. Rub off my pencil mark and glue that down. Then I can glue that one on here. So those 2 front pieces are done. I need another piece that is 4 1/4 inches in height. And because these are 2-inch panels, I wanted 1/4 of an inch narrower, so the width of these are 1 3/4 inches each. So I need 3 of those. Bring in my card insert, and again we want to mark this at 1/4 inch. Draw a line which I can then rub off afterwards. It's just to help me cut it more accurately. Okay, I'm just checking my pattern, so that pattern goes all the way along there, and I'm going to butt this up to the line here so I can cut it, and I'm going to glue it on straight away so I don't get the things mixed up. Line it up on that line again, hold on tight, cut along that edge, glue it down, a method to this, and the reason I'm doing it this way is because of all the mistakes I made previously. The point on that should meet up exactly in the point of the garden green card insert. Then for the last one, you also need a 1 3/4 inch strip by 5 1/4. In metric, that will be 4.4 centimeters by 13.3 centimeters. So again, you butt it up to that line there, hold on to the cardstock, and then cut diagonally. Scraps of very vanilla, garden green and gold foil, and green and real red ink, pearl metallic brads. Now we need to do some stamping. Garden green first, and stamp my sentiment on the inside of the card. And you stamp the sentiment first so you have an idea where your cardinal should go. So I'm going to stamp him here, and I'll press down especially hard on the crease to make sure it's all covered. I'm going to switch back to my garden green ink pad. I've stamped this on a post-it note, and I stamped the branch. Set that aside, and now I want to stamp on my strip. Bring back my glue, and then now I can adhere this piece onto the last column. So this is a place where you can just sign to who it is and then your name at the bottom. And then comes the fun bit. So we're going to glue that onto the cardstock. So you want to line up the card into the crease. Only put glue on the end panel. Okay, so bring that over and glue that. And flip the card over, and you're only putting glue on the end panel. Flip that over and glue that as well. And then you just pop this bit over, pop it out and fold it this way. And then you will get that fold. You can't fold that flat because of the concertina shape on the inside, so don't try and do that, otherwise you'll crease your card here. Now we need to put this on the bottom. Put that on and leave equidistance all round here, the border. That's the top of the card. We apply adhesive on that as well. And then line it up at the top. On a scrap piece of very vanilla, you stamp your greeting. And you also stamp this greeting here. Okay, now you want to trim your sentiment, and you want to make sure that that's straight. So I'm lining the words up with the line of the trimmer there to make sure I've got it straight. So this measures 1 3/4 inch, no, 2 inches by 1 1/2 inches, so I'll need 2 1/4 inches by 1 3/4 inches. So glue that on. Now I know I've already stamped here, but that was really to hold the place. And sometimes, you know, if you don't stamp straight, if you stamp on another piece like this, then you can rectify that. So I'm happy with that now. Take your gold foil and you need to die cut a label and the gold foil leaves, so you need a pair of those and a pair of these. So I'll do that off camera. You need to fussy cut that as close to the stamped line as possible. You don't want any very vanilla to show, because the die cut banner in gold will act as a mat, and you don't want it the same size as this label. So last thing to do is just to pop this label onto the gold piece. Glue dots on the leaves. Dimensionals on the back. I've taken the backing strips off. Adhere it to there. Then glue dots on the leaves. And last thing to do is just a couple of metallic pearls. And there's the card finished. When the card stands up, it should look like this. So that's your pop-up card. So I hope you've enjoyed today's little extra. All the supplies are listed below in the show more section on my YouTube channel. I will have all the measurements for the cardstock and designer series paper over on my blog at blog.stampwithelaine.com. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll be back later this week with my countdown to Christmas series. Bye!